Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rob from Heroes Avenue. Happy Hump Day. I know we don't usually post videos on Wednesdays, but I did want to address a topic that I forgot to talk about in my last video. And thanks for Shin for reminding me about that. But also, I did want to go through my comic book pull list. And if this is something you guys do enjoy watching, then maybe we'll do this every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. Darren and I will talk about what we're reading at the moment. So before we get into the main topic, which is Elseworld DC stories, let me go through some of the things I picked up this week at the comic shop. So Shazam, I'm reading Shazam right now. This was from last week, but I only picked it up this week. I'm definitely loving the Jeff Johns story that's going on right now. It's pure fun, really, and the art is amazing. Now I think they might have changed artists since the last issue. I can't remember, but it's pretty fun. We're exploring the different worlds of the 7 different magic lands, and it looks like they're going into the game lands in this issue. So I have been enjoying the run. It's been pretty fun, and the art, I think, over anything for this Shazam book so far has been amazing. Only on issue 5 so far, so if you did want to go ahead and read issues 1 through 4, they're probably easy to pick up at your comic shop. I know the 2 comic shops I do go to do have them available. So yeah, Shazam, really good jumping on point if you want to start reading Shazam. I got Superman for this. This was also an issue that dropped last week. Superman number 11, Brian Michael Bendis. I am enjoying. I know a lot of people aren't, but I am enjoying Bendis's run so far. And I know back to issue 11, he's still facing off against Rogolzar. I think I'm saying his name right. New Superman villain. So yeah, I know some people are complaining about the way Jonathan Kent has been handled, but since I'm relatively a new Superman reader, I'm not really complaining. I'm enjoying it right now. Got Justice League number 24. The Justice League is great right now. I think this comes out twice a month right now, and it's a great storyline. It's a big universal storyline that has to do with Perpetua, and I'm really just loving everything that Scott Snyder's dropping right now. So Justice League, man, it's issue 24 right now, and they've been killing it on Justice League. Going into some of the stuff that dropped this week, Batman Last Night on Earth, also an Elseworld storyline with under the DC Black label, and it's Snyder reuniting with Greg Capullo, and you guys know that these guys have been an awesome combo on Batman, and I think this is going to be one of his last runs on Batman. So I'm really excited. This is kind of a bigger issue. It says book 1 right here. You know what? I heard a really short synopsis on it, and I was like, I'm buying this regardless. So it looks like, as you can see in the artwork right here, he has a Joker head next to him, and it looks like he's going to be talking to this Joker head. And I'm not really sure what the synopsis was, but I was sold when I heard about that part. So yeah, Snyder and Greg Capullo, great combination, and I've heard it compared to a Old Man Logan type storyline for the Dark Knight, so that sold me. So I bought it. Can't wait to read it. Super excited. Got Superman Leviathan Rising. I'm hearing, so this is another bigger book, and supposedly it's going to not only tie in some of the things that are happening and going on in Justice League right now, but also give us a lead into the potential or future Lois Lane comic that's going to be dropping, and Jimmy Olsen comic. So I thought, hey, I'm going to check this out. I'm just like loving everything with Superman so far. Or I've just been wanting to read a lot of Superman, so that's why I picked that up. Got Daredevil number 6. Darren already talked about this. Chip Zdarsky, I'm pretty sure that's his first name. He's been killing it on this Daredevil run. Darren already talked about it in the last Wednesday's video, or last Thursday's video, I think, where he talked about his pull list. But yeah, loving Daredevil right now. And then more, that's the only Marvel comic, actually. And Heroes in Crisis, the finale of Tom King's run. Tom King, Darren will be talking a little bit more about Tom King and what's going on with Tom King in tomorrow's video, but it's pretty exciting news. And you know, a lot of people have been complaining about Heroes in Crisis. You know, I'm not complaining. I'm actually liking the story, you know, but maybe that's because they've been longer comic book readers than I have, and some of the things that he's doing with the characters, people are you know, a little upset about. But I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm taking these things and enjoying these things. I've been reading comics for 5 or 6 years now, so I'm still relatively new compared to most people. But this one is the one I'm most excited about this week. Doomsday Clock. If you guys saw how the last issue of Doomsday Clock ended, it was amazing. And they got the Justice Society of America right here. Pretty much Manhattan went up against the whole DC universe of characters in the last issue, and man, it was kind of reminiscent of all the Marvel characters going up against Thanos in that Jim Starlin run, and it was amazing. So I can't wait for this. It's too bad that it comes out like every month and a half now. So it's one of the most delayed comic books right now, I think, and it's always worth the wait. Doomsday Clock's amazing. I know it's like all DC stuff right now, but that's that's already a lot of money. I spent like $30 just on this pull list, and I'm sure a lot of people spend a lot more, and that's why I'm kind of just mostly reading a lot of DC titles right now. But yeah, what's on your guys' pull list? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you guys want to hear about the stories in particular, maybe my favorite comic books. Maybe we'll talk about it every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. If you guys want to hear what we're reading, we'll start making videos for it. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, and that has to do with Elseworld DC stories. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I was reading an article that was quoting a podcast, a Fanboy podcast. I want to give them credit. And if you remember in my video about Booster Gold, I was talking about Zach Stentz, a writer for that movie. He finished the Booster Gold movie, is now just waiting for it to be greenlit by DC. In that same interview with the Fanboy podcast, he talked about wanting to do an all-star Superman movie. And I thought to myself, that sounds amazing. But he did have some things to say about potentially doing that movie. And let me go ahead and just quote that here. He says, "I will crawl over broken glass to do a draft of Superman for Macquarie because he would be amazing. In particular, I keep beating the drum that I would want to do a live-action all-star Superman movie. I think that would just kick butt." And then when asked if he would retrofit the story to fit Henry Cavill's Superman, he says, "It depends. I love Henry Cavill, and I think he's an absolutely terrific Superman. So if they said do something with Henry Cavill, I would find something to do with Henry Cavill. If they said we want to do All-Star, I think you would need to get an older actor because the kind of poignance of that particular story is that it's almost this kind of middle-aged Superman facing his own mortality." And he says, "My fantasy is to tell Brandon Fraser to get in shape, find him a tremendously compelling. I find him tremendously compelling and an underused actor." So he wants Brandon Fraser, who's already in the DC streaming service right now in Doom Patrol. So yes. So he mentions that, and that really kind of sparked my interest in potentially, if we were to get an all-star Superman movie. Though I think Henry Cavill can be weaved into the story, I would imagine this would be an Elseworld story that would be just one movie, no sequels, because of how the story ends. And as he says in this quote, this story, one of the first Superman stories I've ever read, one of my favorites, it's about Superman facing his own mortality, getting poisoned, getting radiation poisoning from the sun. And of course, his arch nemesis, Lex Luthor, is behind it. And he goes off, and in the last chapters of his life, he just goes on these great adventures, especially with Lois Lane. So I just thought it was an amazing story. And, when you got writers who potentially want to do these amazing stories and write these amazing stories, potentially direct with Christopher McQuarrie, would it benefit the DC universe to do more Elseworld stories? Perhaps you'll get a director like Christopher McQuarrie who only wants to do one movie. Maybe he doesn't want to be attached to a franchise. And we already know there's actors like that. Joaquin Phoenix himself, he kind of turned down the Doctor Strange role because he didn't want to be attached to a franchise in which he has to keep playing the same character. So I'm thinking, man, this might actually be something worth really thinking about. Especially since I think this is the direction that DC is probably going forward. They're going to start doing these Elseworld stories. We know the Joker's coming out. We don't know how the critics and the fans are going to react to it, but we did see that trailer, and it was amazing. I think everyone is 100 times more hyped for that movie because of that trailer. So we see what kind of creative freedom that people can have with an Elseworld storyline. So I was like, man, this might actually be a thing that I'm actually into now. I know a lot of fans are still disheartened about the way the DCEU was rolled out and the way that their Zack Snyder was treated. Even if you're not a fan of Zack Snyder, I think you could agree that you'd want to see his whole vision play out versus them bungling it like what they did with Justice League. So yeah, and you know, you start to hear more stories coming out. Like, we got this covered again with their anonymous source saying that DC might be looking to see to create a Superman Red Sun movie. Now, that's also another beloved comic book story in which it's an Elseworld story in which Superman was raised in the Soviet Union. So, you know, sounds like such a crazy idea, but when you think about it, you might be able to create some of the best storylines in this Elseworlds brand of movies. So I guess my question to you guys is, would you like to see more of these Elseworld storylines? And with these Elseworld storylines, we're going to get a brand new cast. We're going to get a different Superman. We're not going to have Cavill. We're going to get a different Batman. We're not going to have Batfleck. No, he's not coming back, guys. I don't imagine he will. If he did, that would be amazing. But you know, I think for the most part, all of us, you know, I'm ready to move on from that conversation. But I think, you know, my mind has been changing just, you know, slowly but surely into really embracing like where DC's going, because it does separate, it would separate DC from its counterpart Marvel. And sometimes while they are constrained to their continuity, DC could be free to tell a lot of different, creative, amazing stories. You know, there are so much amazing team-up movies, different iterations of characters, and that can be done. Not to say that the DCEU current continuity should be abandoned, but I'm just asking you guys, you know, are you guys now open to more Elseworld storylines? And do you think the fandom as a whole is ready for DC to go that direction? Do you think it would help DC's reputation going forward? Because I don't know about you guys, but just scrolling through social media and clicking on popular sites that drop articles, there's just people, you know, there are people who are not really, you know, fans of comics and things like that. They, you know, they might be riding the hype, but the narrative is that DC movies aren't up to snuff. You know, while I love most of everything that came out, you know, that's kind of the narrative that's going on in society right now, I think. So let me know what you guys think. You know, I think I'm a little bit more open to more Elseworld storylines, not only because of what I've seen from Joker so far, but hearing this pitch from Zack Stentz about an all-star Superman with Christopher McQuarrie, knowing that some creatives don't want to join these type of franchises, even though it means more money for them. I think I'm a little bit more open to it now. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know, do you guys want to see us post more about our comic stacks and our pull list on Wednesdays? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell to be notified for all our videos. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.